At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you guys are digging this new Patreon names list. Listen, we did it. We cracked 50 of you guys. That's incredible. What an incredible feat. I am honored that any of you guys are willing to become Patreon supporters. If you guys want to do so and you're not a Patreon supporter, click the link down below. Now, I'm also going to say this is a work in progress with this image. I may change it. We may go to something else, but that's I kind of, it fits for now. It works for now. Okay. Let's get this started off. Happy Friday. We made it. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Yo. How you doing? Welcome. It's the Friday Test Talk Show. Spring practice, spring camp almost done with for football. I'm going to continue to upload all these shorts, these YouTube shorts. You guys are digging them. Those are all doing really well. And if you haven't seen the one that I posted this morning, it's up. It's just KJ Jefferson in the offense moving the ball down the field. You see, it's worth a watch. Go check it out. They're all, because they're YouTube shorts, they're all only about a minute long, or 55 seconds or whatever. So they're really cool, really quick. Something to watch, when you ain't got nothing better to do. When you're waiting on baseball. By the way, I guess they're having issues in Oxford. Listen, electricity there is a fairly new concept. Like internet it's just become a thing there, like the last few years. Just have some patience with the folks over in Oxford. They're trying to, what is this light coming from the ceiling? What is that? They don't know. I mean, they're trying to get that all straightened out over there. So it's supposed to be a 2 p.m. Start. According to Phil Elson, it might be an issue for the 2 p.m. I don't know. Arkansas taking on a Ole Miss team that may not be as bad as we all think. So, yeah. All right. Power was restored like 30 minutes ago. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate the update, Will. Currently watching LSU get beat by South Carolina is legit. Okay, I had to wasn't really sure where you were going with that. South Carolina is legit. They took game 1 last night. Okay. What's the skinny, my man? Michael? What's the skinny? What year is this, Michael? Yeah. Shout out, of course, like I said, to Patreon supporters. If you're just now popping in and you don't know what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about. This is that new screen. This is going to be a work in progress because there's so many of you. I've got to figure out a way to keep you guys without flipping multiple screens because we have so many names. We'll just do like this little, like a scroll here, as you can see, or not quite the scroll. We had John Hawes recommended doing a Star Wars crawl, and I looked that up, and I couldn't. The video editing software I use doesn't have that. That's not something that was available for me to play around with. I may take another look into that. I thought about doing that a long time ago, doing a neat little scroll of names. I'm trying to take it back to 1994. Yeah. All right. If you guys have any questions or comments, fire away. I had Otis Kirk on the show on Wednesday. We've been kicking ass this week. I told you guys I don't know how often we're going to live stream. We're doing a pretty good job of staying afloat with. We've done 3 shows. This will be show number 3, so that's really cool. Yeah. So looks like they're going to get things going at Oxford at 2:00. Good. Okay. Well, it's just so you know, it literally takes me like a good hour. So I'm usually going to be behind an hour before the show. If something happens, unless it's like breaking news and my phone is blowing up, I'm going to be a little bit behind. But I do appreciate you guys. Keeping me on my toes. Shout out to the sponsors, Patreon supporters and sponsors. This is not possible without all of without YouTube ad revenue, without Patreon supporters, and of course without the local businesses that help support this channel. And in return, obviously they're getting shout outs. Direct service overhead, the garage door company, same day services, emergency service 24/7, 365 days a year, free estimates, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Give them a call today, 501-244-3667. That's direct service overhead, the garage door company. And of course, the Apex Tattoo Studio. They have moved. They are at 201 South 19th Street now in Rogers, Arkansas. Suite P. Walk-ins are welcome. 479-278-2694. That's their number. If you want to go to Apex or if you want to get something set up, get some ink done. They're offering tap-out sessions. Remember, if you mention Tuss Talk with Ty, you get a discount. Don't go showing off your tattoos on social media. If you live in Northwest Arkansas and you didn't at least consider going to Apex. I saw someone, it's actually a kind of a friend of mine. He posted a picture of a tat, and I'm like, bro, he didn't get it done at Apex. I'm like, no. He was like, oh, dude, I always catch your shows at like right in the middle or at the end. I didn't realize there's logos on my screen. He said he would. His next tat, he's gonna check them out. So, yeah. All right, and we're gonna pop up an odd soul poll here in just a second. I don't know, you guys. What do you think? What's a good odd soul poll? What's a good odd soul poll? What up, Tyzilla? What's going on, Philip? How you doing? Went through the tornado and missed us by 3 or 4 blocks. God, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. Yeah. I hope all of you guys are safe and like Otis and I mentioned on Wednesday, be safe. Be safe out there. I enjoyed seeing Mizzou fans in shambles this morning. They were 1,000% expecting to get Caleb Love. Yeah, Caleb Love heading to Michigan. Isn't that right? Caleb Love heading to Michigan. Oh, no, they're crying in the streets. They're crying in their streets. That's so sad. Yeah, Arkansas. I don't know. I don't know what to make of who they're going to grab out of the portal. I didn't want this show to be about the portal for basketball. I was going to save some of that for next week, but it's going to be interesting to see who they can. What's going to happen there, what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting to see who they can lure in. So, hey, you guys make sure you like. We don't have near enough likes. Holy crap. Share the content. Subscribe. I know a lot of people with these shows, with them being somewhere between 11 and 1, a lot of you guys that are watching this after the fact, you can't make the lives. The numbers are certainly showing that you guys are, if I were to go live later, you would be able to catch the shows. And I did have someone DM me about that, about going back to the evening. That's something that's certainly on my mind, but that is the busiest part of our day is the evening or later in the day, especially with both our kids in sports. With me going to practices, it's just so difficult to do those evening streams. So, yeah. Let's get caught up on some recruiting. We talked a smidge about baseball. Let's talk a little bit about recruiting. Aaron Noland is set to announce tomorrow, April 8th. Tomorrow evening, I think it's before 8 p.m. I think it's 7:45. I think it's when he's going to announce. I will say, and Patreon supporters have known this now for a minute. When did I talk about? Was that yesterday? I mentioned that. I'll just say that I don't plan on streaming his announcement. I'll just say that, and that's at the moment. That's just really because, they've made movement on another quarterback. Sometimes you can just kind of read in between the lines. I just don't think. Do I think that Arkansas's in his short list? Of course, they're on his short list. I mean, I think Arkansas made his top 7, right? He put out his top 7 not long ago, and Arkansas made that cut. I just don't. Either the people around him are really tight-lipped, which is so rare these days, guys. I mean, there's always smoke somewhere. There's always someone. And, yeah, it's not always right. Yeah, of course not, right? And we're probably going to get some smoke tonight. Or tomorrow during the day, like, oh, something's going on. A bunch of his friends followed Arkansas. What's going on here? You know how that goes down. Our Discord will get people, posting, oh, well, this is his cousin, and they followed the coaches at Arkansas. He must be committing. That sort of stuff. And then you start to see that smoke, and that's typically when I'm now on the phone trying to text people, like, hey, what the hell's going on? Some of that could happen tomorrow, and I've learned over the years of covering recruiting or following it. I am fortunate enough that I'm able to talk to certain people who know a lot more than I do and are closer to the program than I am. But I've learned that sometimes you just got to read in between the lines. I don't think that Arkansas gets Aaron Noland. Speaking of the other quarterback, KJ Jackson, his announcement, April 9th. I want to say it's 5 o'clock. It's after 5, I think, is when he's supposed to announce. But another 4-star quarterback, Arkansas, all over. Again, if you're a Patreon supporter, go back, scroll up. You'll see what I had to say there. Maryland transfer. This is big portal news. Maryland transfer. This is a guy I am really big on. Anthony Booker. Arkansas makes his top 5, along with A&M, Ohio State, South Carolina, and Purdue. I have no idea where he's leaning. No idea. He's supposed to announce. The belief is, last I had heard, he's supposed to announce relatively soon. I don't know if there's a date or a time out there. If you guys know of one, please let me know. I welcome the DMs, and when you guys are, again, I like it when you guys keep me on my toes because, especially this time of year, sometimes stuff just kind of slips through the cracks a little bit. But I like Anthony Booker a lot. This is a guy who, on Pro Football Focus, again, you guys, this is someone that I think is a must. You cannot swing and miss on a guy like this. And by the way, he's also on the portal target page for you guys. He's on the portal target page for Patreon supporters. If you look there, we have the names. We have the list of names they've offered. I think there's been at least 1, maybe 2 more offers I may be behind on. I'm going to try and get that up to date. As soon as I'm done here, I'm taking the kids to lunch. They're out of school today, and we're going to go to Chuck E. Cheese in Fayetteville. So I will be kind of AFK, so if there's anything that happens for a little bit today, you'll know I'm out of the office. But I know there's some names that need to be added to that list. But right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names. One of them already committed. We talked about Jaheim Singletary before he committed. You guys knew, if you're a Patreon supporter, you knew that Arkansas was in on that guy. A redshirt freshman this year. He's not on campus. Big-time 5-star corner that came here from Georgia. Big get, right? So this list is shaping up pretty nicely. So I'm gonna get that list updated. But if you are a supporter, you'll know that Mason Lunsford, who already committed out of Maryland, he committed to LSU. Cameron Johnson out of Houston. We already talked about Singletary. Anthony Tank Booker, who I put there. It says the date says March 10th. Just know that I'm going back and editing that list, and that date never changes. So just something to keep in mind. I've thought about not doing it that way, so that way we have a proper timestamp when I add those names. But it's also just a lot more convenient to just click edit and then to go in and edit that list. So that date, the timestamp is wrong. But I did add Anthony Tank Booker. I don't remember when. I want to say the day he announced, or the day after he announced, is when I added him to a separate list of names to keep an eye on. And then when Arkansas offered him, which is what this list is, I added him to this list. So that timestamp is wrong. And then Josh DeBerry is the other one, the 6 foot 180-pound Boston College. He'll be a fifth-year senior. Not a super great PFF grade on him, 60.3. That's not, but Arkansas threw an off route to him, and with this staff and how well they've done. But Anthony Tank Booker, again, what we have there is there. This is the list. Now, I have a separate list that I don't think I've made. No, it's not public, actually. It's on my other server, now that I think about it. Too many channels to keep up with on Discord, and I forget where I put where. But that list is the list of names of transfers that I like, but I haven't moved them all over yet because it's like an ongoing thing. And I know as soon as I make that list public, I'm going to get people in my DMs right and left. So I'm kind of waiting before I make that list public. I may not even make it public. I don't know. But anyways, again, going back to the offers list of portal targets, Anthony Tank Booker is one that's already on there, and Arkansas made his short list. Here's hoping they can get him. I like him a ton. Will Watkins with a $10 super chat. Woo pig. That's right, baby. Thank you, Will. I appreciate that. Haas is all over the Discord and Patreon link. I appreciate you, Haas. Thank you, sir. Let's grade our baseball team so far this year. B+, A-. Well, I tell you what. Let's do our Odd Soul poll. They are a sponsor. Let's do the Odd Soul poll. What poll are we doing? I have no idea. What's a good poll, actually? Let's think about this. We got, how about, Arkansas lands at least one of these two 4-star quarterbacks this weekend? But I feel like, I feel like everyone probably feels like that is the case. I'm trying to think of a good poll, a good Odd Soul poll. What's a good poll here? You got Arkansas baseball getting ready to play Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a tough game. All right, let's do this. Ole Miss is a tough game. I don't know that it's as easy. I mean, they're better than their record indicates, but how about this? Arkansas sweeps Ole Miss this weekend. Remember, we got the doubleheader today. Arkansas, I don't know. Is that a good one? What do you think? Arkansas, do they sweep? Maybe Ole Miss is as bad as they are. I mean, their record's not great. It's really bad. I think they're better. I think their bullpen. I saw something where their bullpen is just in pieces. It's not good. There we go. We'll do that. Arkansas sweeps Ole Miss this weekend. I should have made that Arkansas wins the series, but I feel like 90% of you would vote yes on that. And I'm not saying one way or another that they do or that they don't. John says we better land one of them, yeah. Where do you think Arkansas baseball finishes in the West? Oh, that's a good conversation. Boy, the West hasn't looked... Arkansas dropping outside of LSU and Arkansas, right? It's a good question. I don't know. They won it all last year, so they might this year. Yeah, and they weren't good last year. Ole Miss during the regular season. I shouldn't say they weren't good. They struggled during the regular season. Did Arkansas beat them last year, right? Didn't Arkansas take the series? I think if I remember right, was that a game where Ole Miss beat the socks out of Arkansas in game one, then Arkansas came back and won the next two games, similar to the Alabama series this year. Maybe I'm mixing that up with another series. But Ole Miss is maybe they're kind of like Arkansas basketball. They don't have it completely figured out during the season. You got a long ways to go, and because you're in the SEC, you're going to be given the benefit of the doubt when it comes to postseason play, when it comes to the regionals and selections and all this. You're in good shape because you're in the SEC, and as long as you have at least a somewhat respectable record. Although I think this year they're worse than they were last year in terms of where they were at this point a year ago. I think they're worse, and I think their pitching is a real concern. Will Lennox says yes with a Diggs walk-off. There you go. South Carolina needs to sweep LSU, says Michael Kopesky. I would prefer, the East has actually looked, got something going there. Will, going back to your question, I don't know. Get back to me in the end of this month. I don't know. That's a good question. The SEC, even though they may look down, they have a habit of picking themselves back up again. All right. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Like. I can't believe the amount of likes we have. Are you serious right now? We have as many likes as I do dollars in Super Chat right now. What is going on? Can we break 20? 20 likes on the show? What's going on, fam? Let's go to spring camp really fast. Like I said, you got 1 week left. You got 1 week of spring camp. Well, we're coming up on the scrimmage, right? The red-white scrimmage, which will be on the 15th. That's going to be a very fun weekend. Tennessee's in town. I hope the weather is phenomenal. I want blue skies, sunshine. Let's keep it cool, like, I don't know, low 60s, high 50s. That's my kind of weather with a slight breeze, you know. Whoop the hell out of Tennessee. Beat their asses. That's going to be that's another game. Don't sleep on it. I know Tennessee didn't get off to the best of starts with baseball, but that's going to be a great weekend. You got softball. I forget who they're playing that weekend. I know we've talked about it. Tennessee's in town. Then, of course, you got the red-white scrimmage. If you guys plan on coming up, let me know. I will be there, assuming it happens. You never know with the weather, but, yeah. Haas, I'm going to save the offensive line talk for another show. It is a fluid situation on the offensive line. I'll say that. At this point, outside of two positions, I really have no idea what they're going to look like come week one when they're getting ready to head down to Little Rock. I'm not even prepared. You know, there's a couple spots. Outside of those couple spots, it's anybody's guess. Like, where are they going to place Tykees Crawford? This is a guy who the belief was they're going to move him inside, and now they could move him back to right tackle. We saw him last year at tackle, and he struggled. Kutas, where are they going to move Kutas? I heard Sam Pittman and Otis Kirk corrected me on Wednesday's show and said that, well, they were experimenting with Kutas at behind the center as a backup center. We know Josh Street has been center number 2. Josh Street, I'm going to tell you guys, one of my observations from spring camp, that dude struggles snapping. He struggles snapping the ball. A lot of either low or high snaps. Quarterbacks have a hard time with his snaps. When they're in shotgun, I think they even, I want to say Criswell or someone with Josh Street at center fumbled a snap, though. That might have been on the quarterback. That might have been the quarterback pulling out too soon. Sometimes the communication between the center and the quarterback's not always 100%. But Street has struggled. Kutas, they were experimenting with him at center last year, and I remember that because I remember seeing it as we were exiting the practice field, and everyone in the media, all the other writers, the writers, I shouldn't say other writers, I'm not a writer, the writers, the real media, again, you guys know I'm commentary. I don't consider myself media, but we all were kind of looking at each other. I remember I was having a conversation with someone else. I can't remember who, but we both were a little shocked that he was struggling. Kutas was struggling at center. Now, it's going to take time, but who's going to be center number 2? What's going on with Crawford? Braun feels like he's an interior guy. Where does he end up playing? I have no idea. I'm not even ready to talk about the offensive line until I feel a lot better about where they're headed. I know their scrimmage, they had a 100 and what did Sam say that was? 122 practices or plays on Saturday for a scrimmage, and it sounded like the offensive line struggled. The offensive line struggled quite a bit, and so much so they couldn't get a good read on what was going on with the DBs and the wideouts because the quarterbacks were under pressure so often. Now, you can argue that's a good thing. It sounds like Landon Jackson is having a fantastic spring. Maybe that's the case. Maybe the defensive ends are just tearing it up. The pass rush is there. We finally got that 4 realistic man front that I think Hog fans want to return to. I think Sam Pittman obviously wants to return to that. Maybe it's having an effect. I would also argue that offense is always going to lag behind the defense. At least that's my experience, whether it's playing football all the way from Kiwanis all the way up to high school football, or just watching and keeping up with spring football for as long as I have. Going back to, I mean, God, I don't miss red white scrimmages. I just, that's something I've always. It's free football. It's the way I always saw it. It's free football, and you get the environment and Hog fans, when they show up, and it's fun. It's electric. But the offenses, my experiences have always been offenses lag a little bit behind the defense. It's a little bit more complicated on the offensive side of the ball, right? There's certain things you can and can't do pre-snap that the defense can do, when you talk about movement and whatnot. And communication's a little bit different. And what you're communicating is obviously a lot different. So it's the offense, and you also have to factor in, you've got 2 new coordinators. Should Dan Enos' job be a little bit easier? Probably, because he's got a senior quarterback in KJ Jefferson, maybe one of the top 3 returning quarterbacks in the SEC this year. It should be a somewhat seamless transition, but it's not going to be. And so I think there's some of that going on. Maybe the communication between KJ and his offensive line, because of all the newness up front of guys rotating, they're still trying to figure it out. I'm not gonna lie, I'm curious of what's happening at left tackle. I'm not saying I'm worried. I'm curious, who's playing over there. Is it going to be David Manuel, Chambly? Are they going to move Crawford back over when it's all said and done? I know what we're seeing. I know who's running with the 1s and the 2s and fastball and whatnot, but that could look entirely different by the time fall camp rolls around, or by the time we're through fall camp, right? Yeah, spring game is on the 15th. It's at noon, by the way. Does Enos like pistol formation? It's something he does often. Yeah, Tony. He's carried that with him everywhere he's gone. Yeah. He does indeed. All right, let's talk about the running backs. What are we doing at running back? What's going on, Ty? So that is one of the positions on offense that's really difficult to gauge, because they don't tackle these guys, not in front of the media, not in front of the, when they let us in. They don't tackle them off ever to the ground. Now, they're taking a more physical approach in scrimmages. I feel like the running back room that they have is not potentially, I think it's up there with the Jonathan Williams, Alex Collins. I think it's up there. I think it's certainly in that conversation. Now, I don't know if Rocket is going to go on and have the kind of career that Alex did have for a short while. He started to catch fire in Baltimore, and then, he got in some trouble off the field, took some time off. He, popped his head back up in the NFL. But seems like when you take a little break from the NFL and you try to get back in it, it's his own fault. I mean, there's no doubt. I'm not making any excuses for Alex Collins, who I think is maybe one of the top 3, top 4 running backs to ever play at Arkansas. Could have had, I think, a fantastic career. Another one of those woulda, coulda, shouldas, like Matt Jones when he was playing wide receiver for the Jags, and then got caught, doing something on Dixon Street. So we all make mistakes, man. I mean, but Matt is still – anyone I've known that's talked to the guy, I think he's a hell of a guy. He's a good dude. On the radio, too, by the way. He's on with Phil during I think he's on right now, as a matter of fact. Hang out here for a little bit before you go and run and listen to him. But he does a good job. He's good on radio, man. I love listening to him talk football. But yeah, I think this running back room could be as good as that Jonathan Williams, Alex Collins, that combination of running backs. You can look at like when you had Raleigh Williams in the backfield. I don't know that it's quite Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis. I don't know that we'll ever have a backfield like that again. I don't know. All-Americans, Heisman, back-to-back Heisman candidate. That is way up here, right? And I think they're climbing the ladder. I think the running back room is climbing the ladder. Maybe they'll surpass the Jonathan Williams, Alex Collins running back room. We'll see. You also had the Nile Davis, not Niles, Nile Davis, Dennis Johnson. There's been some this backfield, DeVois Whaley. You've had some fantastic running backs. Where do these guys rank with those? I don't know. I guess we'll have that discussion at an appropriate time also. But here's what I'm looking at. All right, I'm going to start with the guy that no one's talked about because he's not here, but I think could potentially get some carries this year, find his way onto the field. And that is Mr. 4-star out of Florida. And again, now this list is at the moment, what I'm seeing. If we were to start the game of football, if the season started tomorrow, this is what I think the depth chart would look like. That's what this list is. That's what we did the quarterbacks. Now we're doing the running backs. I thought about going to the tight ends, but I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm going to wait. We might do some more position stuff next week. We might wait till after the spring, after red-white scrimmage. But again, this is if they kicked off tomorrow, this is what I think they could look like. And that's at the moment. This will obviously change. Isaiah Augustave. When I say that, I remember someone got triggered in chat when I pronounce it like that. But it just sounds so damn cool to say it like that. It sounds like a really fancy cologne. Augustave. Blood, sweat, Augustave. I don't know. I love that last name. But if you can't see him there, he's down at the bottom. 4-star. I would argue one of the best commits from last year's class. Now, what we know about Isaiah, he was the only running back taken. They told him that in his recruiting process. We're only taking one guy, and you're going to be it. You're going to be it. You're the guy in that class. You're going to lead the future running backs. I think he's going to be in that rotation. If they do, either it's a situation where they're getting blown out and they need a young back. They need one of those 3 or 4s. They need those guys that don't get the carries right at the key moments of a game or early in a game. I think Isaiah is going to be that guy. That could change. He's not on campus, but again, this is just someone that I think could absolutely have that. Could be that guy. So he is right there. All right. Let's read chat here. Rocket will have a better career. Better career than who? Cocaine doesn't make you a bad person. I didn't say it did. I just said we all make mistakes. I don't know if you're talking to me, John. No, I don't think it makes you a bad person. We all make mistakes. Eric Clapton has a good one about it. What are y'all talking about? Stacked running back rooms is right. It is absolutely stacked. It is. Alex Collins in the NFL. How has AJ Green looked? He has tons of potential. I think we've seen that. We talk about his potential. We've seen it at times. I mean, I think at this point everyone's aware of what he's capable of doing. I think he's looked really good. Now remember, they don't tackle these guys to the ground, so you have to take what you see with a grain of salt. Running backs are going to run a little differently when they know they're not going to be tackled to the ground. The same thing, we talked about this over the years with quarterbacks and guys like KJ in practice. You have to take what you see with the guys who carry the ball from the line of scrimmage with a grain of salt. You have to take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think he's looked really good. I watched them quite a bit in workouts and when they do their individual position drills, he looks really good. Is this a top 3 running back room in the country? I think the better way of framing that question is, could they become? And yeah, absolutely. I absolutely believe they could be. Yeah, because I think they're top 3 in the SEC. And when you're top 3 in the SEC, some might argue the best. Now, what's going on? You got Judkins and you've got some pretty crowded running backs. Listen, Arkansas is not the only team with a backfield loaded full of 4-stars. They're not the only backfield with the kind of proven talent that what happened a year ago. Right now, not everybody has a Rocket Sanders, who, by the way, put on some weight throughout the offseason. All right, let's move on to probably your biggest surprise here. Who's running back 3? Right there, AJ Green. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily, I guess the better way of putting this is, because we know, like last year, we saw Kendall AJ would get passed up in carries, and then the next game he's still the backup, right? He's still running back number 2. Maybe a better way of framing this is if the season ended, who would end up with the most carries? Maybe that's another way of looking at this. Maybe the rotation these days just doesn't kind of matter. By the way, they ran some. They had KJ in the backfield, and he had a running back to his left and to his right. I think it was AJ Green and I want to say it was AJ Green and Rocket. Now I could be wrong because when that play was happening, again, like I told you guys last week, we don't always get the best angle. Sometimes the players and coaches move right in front of us, and we're like, and I'm always trying to film. I'm usually trying to film an individual player, or I'm trying to film an individual position, or I'm trying to film maybe the secondary, or I'm trying to do something there, and I don't always catch because they're really quick. Again, go watch that short that is fastball. If you go watch that short that I uploaded today, that is fastball. And I've uploaded some other videos like that. It's just really fast. So you look and you're like, oh shit, who was the quarterback on that play? Oh shit, who's the running back? Who was the wide receiver? Who was lined up at center, left tackle? Who's playing the end there? Who's running with the ones? You miss that sort of stuff. It's sometimes kind of hard to keep up with, but oh my God. That was so loud. I thought I had my phone. That was so loud. But yeah, so they did have a play where they had a running back to the left and to the right of KJ. So I think you're gonna see some of that. And who are those running backs gonna be? Probably Rocket, and then who's the next guy up? It could be AJ. Sometimes they just have set plays for guys that come in and that's their play, and that may not necessarily mean that they're running back too, right? But again, maybe the better way of preferencing the depth chart is looking at it as who ends up with the most carries. Now, that could also be, and God forbid that this is the case, could be injuries or nagging. Maybe they get a real bad cramp in a game and they miss out on a couple of series that they were supposed to play. And we also know that scripted plays are a thing, and that can also have an effect on the amount of carries or plays when a starters on the field or whatnot. But yeah, I like AJ there. And then, no surprise here, DeBinion right now to me. And listen, he passed up this isn't shocking news to a lot of people, a lot of Hog fans, because last year DeBinion did have games where he had more carries, or he was outpacing AJ Green in terms of yards per carry. Let's shrink you down there, AJ. There you go. Now, this could change, man. It really could. Get the right dadgum. No, not that one. Here we go. This isn't. And then, of course, you guys know who running back 1 is. There's no debate. There's no debate. This guy might be the best back in the SEC. Now, he's not going to get credit because he got outrushed by another running back, but on another team. But I think he's the best back, and probably at the very least, he's top 3, top 2 in the SEC. I think he's the best back in the SEC. And it is close because I do think the top, you do have some pretty good backs. Judkins is a really good back. And he's young too. So there you go. If you're just getting caught up, if you just joined us, that's the list. If they were to start tomorrow, if they were to actually put out a depth chart, and we also know too, you have to take the depth charts that are put out by Sam with a grain of salt, because it's not always going to be the case. Who's quarterback 2 and quarterback 3. Remember that controversy last year. Same thing with the running backs. But I feel like these would be the guys. That's your lineup. That's Ty's lineup. Rocket, DeBinion, AJ Green, man. He can have those games where he looks like the best back on the field. And I think Augustave or Augustave. I think Augustave going to end up being. I think he's going to end up being really good. I really do. I like him a lot. Now, he's depending on what happens with the transfer portal, depending on what happens with these guys sticking it out or not sticking it out, that's a different story, right? We just never know. I hate talking about that. I hate going down that road, looking down that alley, but that is a realistic possibility. And listen, you're never out of the woods when it comes to guys transferring. You're never out of the woods. So there's your list right there. How do you like that? You disagree? Maybe you think differently, but that's just kind of that's what I think. That's where I think they're at. Do you think Rocket is better than Judkins over at Ole Miss? Judkins seems to get more national recognition. He gets more national recognition because of the offense that he plays in and because of who his head coach is. I don't think there's any doubt the media is in love with everything Ole Miss, and I don't know why. These guys cheat their balls off, and then they go out and they hire someone like Lane Kiffin a little while later, and yeah. Yeah, Johnson's out for a while. Johnson is out for a while. I don't know what his status will be. I hope he sticks it out. Well, and that's another conversation with Johnson. But this is just based on spring, right? This is based on what we've seen. That two running back look is something that Enos ran at Maryland. Yeah, I think some of that's going to carry over for sure. Only reason Judkins got the focus he did is because it's Ole Miss. Well, and he did lead the SEC in rushing yards. Let's not act like that's some small feat. That's incredible. He's a great back, and I'm not taking anything away from him, but he did absolutely get more hype, I think, and he's going to. You're going to have people put him on a Heisman list, I guarantee you. At least not this year, but I mean by the time he's done at Ole Miss, he's going to make someone's Heisman list. And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it. I think he's a great back. I really do. Ty, what's your take on Hugh Freeze? Was talking about the spring charity games. So are you talking about, is that scrimmaging non-conference opponents? Is that what that is? I'll be real honest with you. I'm a little bit behind on Hugh Freeze news. I know that that's something that's the media guys were talking about yesterday. I think our Discord, maybe was it our Discord? Somewhere I've seen that going around where people are talking about scrimmaging against or even conference opponents, bringing somebody in for a scrimmage. Yeah, I'm all for it. So, who was it in our Discord? This is a really good idea. Someone in our Discord, it might have been Paul, Rhett maybe. Someone had the idea of having a scrimmage. Hell, it might have been Scott. I don't remember who the hell said this, but it was a good take. Having a scrimmage against an opponent, maybe it's 100 plays, 125 play scrimmage against maybe a group of 5 school, maybe Arkansas State. Why not? For a spring game, why not? And you get a certain amount of plays, 125 plays, whatever. Bring in Arkansas State. I'm all for that. Why not? I mean, yeah, you would prefer them to go against someone who's going to give them more of a challenge, right? Who will give you a better look on film. I agree with that. But the person, whoever it was in our Discord, said you do one in the spring, and then you have a July scrimmage. Now, the only reason why that won't happen, if it were to happen, the NCAA would just have to change the rules. But July used to be a part of that, what was it, like no contact or whatever. The coaches weren't allowed to have contact with their players through a certain – it used to be June to July, if I remember right, where you just couldn't have any contact. Hell, it might have even been May, June, July. But there's a period of time where coaches couldn't interact with their players, right? Only the strength conditioning – they could go in and lift weights, and only the strength conditioning team could interact with the players. Now, maybe one of you could speak better in our chat about that. I don't remember how that rule was laid out, but it was something like that. And I don't know if it's still the case. Maybe it is. If that is the case, change the rule and allow them to have a scrimmage. I mean, at least the spring scrimmage. Now, July, it's tough because your players have been working out, and then you have a scrimmage, that July when you haven't been practicing. So you might prefer it to be the other way around, but then no coach is going to want to, not in college, they're not going to want to risk that. It would have to be in July. It'd have to be before fall camp. I think the offseason needs an overhaul in college football. It needs a big overhaul. I think the portal needs and if you're going to keep the portal the way that it is, where it can open back up after spring camp, then why not open the players up to the rest of the facilities and to the whatever restrictions are in place there. Hell, there may not be any, but why not let them interact with the coaching staff? Why not let them interact with their coordinators? If you're going to open up the portal after spring camp, you just expect these guys to come into workouts during the summer, then go into fall camp having any idea what the hell they're supposed to do. Now, that has worked out. Arkansas has grabbed some guys out of the portal after spring camp and had a little bit of success there, sure. But why not give them the opportunity, like in I don't know. I know recruiting is a big month in June. Why not in sometime in July have a plan laid out where maybe you get a week of practice or 2 weeks of practice or something. I don't know. It can just be walkthrough, no actual physical contact, and then you have a spring scrimmage, or excuse me, not spring scrimmage, a July scrimmage, and then you televise it. Boom! We're all rich because or we're all happy. You get a little extra money, get a little extra ad revenue, and fans get more exposure before fall camp. And the NFL does have preseason football. Of course, they're different, right? You can trade players. You can grab out of the free agency. It's different, and that's why they're able to do. That's why they're more comfortable with doing preseason football. But it's also, they don't play their starters beyond maybe most of the time beyond game one, behind maybe a couple of series. Some teams do it differently. Was that Paul that came up with that good idea? Because it was a good idea. A good old exhibition in the summer. I think we just need to change the structure of off-season football. You're giving what the players want. You're giving what the coaches want. You're giving what the networks want. You're giving what the fans want. Why not? And, I mean, of course you are risking in July if you have a major injury. That does suck because you're walking right into August. You're walking right into fall camp, and now you're without somebody. Obviously, you're not going to play your starting quarterback much. It gives the younger guys an opportunity. It gives the guys that came in through the portal an opportunity, and it gives you an opportunity to see what you're up against against a different person, different personnel who's not on your roster. So I don't know. Man, I want a summer and spring game. That would be so great. I know John says it was Paul Raymond who came up with that. That's a great idea. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I think it'd be fantastic. All right. That what are we at here? Whoa, I didn't want to go 50, but we did. All right. That is going to do it. I do appreciate you guys. I'm going to take these kiddos to Chuck E. Cheese, go grab us some lunch. Let's get these guys off the channel for now. But it is awfully good seeing this guy. Oh, Rocket. Cannot wait to watch him carry the rock this year, man. He wears that number 5 proudly. He represents it well. He certainly does. So, but all right. For now, Rocket, you're gonna have to vanish, sir. Okay. When I'm college football commish, I will make it happen. You got my vote. I don't know how they could be much worse. Let's look at our poll here really fast. Arkansas sweeps Ole Miss this weekend. 57% of you say yes. Not a whole lot of votes on this one, but 57% of you say yes. Well, in that is the Odd Soul poll, located on Emma Street. The Odd Soul, fantastic pies, IPAs on tap, great staff. Nick, the owner, good dude. His staff, they're awesome people. Go follow them on social media. They're kind of funny. One of the guys. You know what? Can I show this? Am I gonna get my channel taken down? This cracked me up. The Odd Soul. If you guys haven't seen this yet, I might be careful here. I might get my channel taken down. They're unique at the Odd Soul. Just go look at their Facebook page. They posted 3 days ago. It was pretty funny. Howdy, welcome to the Odd Soul. Please seat yourself and order at the bar. There's a gentleman behind the sign, and it's pretty funny. So go check that out. But yeah, the Odd Soul, fantastic stuff. All right, appreciate you guys. Again, I'll be back if I'm available on Sunday to stream KJ Jackson's. If he's streaming it, I don't know if he is or not. If he's streaming it, I would definitely plan on streaming that. I'll just say that I would stream that. I would stream his announcement if he's going to stream it to the public. So I don't know that he is or not. But again, that's Sunday, so stay tuned to that. If you're in our Discord, you already know what's up, especially if you're in our Patreon. So yeah, I'll see you guys. What do we have going on? Nothing much really. Next week's the big week, man. Next week's the big week. Red-white scrimmage is so close. I can't wait. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there, assuming this is all going down. So hopefully we have better luck with the spring this year, and we can have good weather, and they can play this thing. I guess the plan is outdoors, and maybe I'll meet some of you guys. maybe I'll see you there. I'm excited for it. There's plenty of reasons to be excited, all right? And we'll talk more about it next week. Woo pig! I'll see you guys then next week on the live. Have a good weekend, guys.